Regardless of who you are, your age, level of experience, income, background, none of that matters. If you breathe through your mouth and walk with your feet, chances are you more than likely dealt with procrastination. What's up, everybody? My name is Ethan. I hope you guys are doing well, and today we're going to discuss the demon we all bear known as procrastination. Now, what is procrastination? Procrastination is our brain's desire to chase things it finds more appealing to spend our time doing rather than the pressing task at hand. It consistently searches for other, more entertaining or pleasurable things to do that alleviate any desire to take on the, though not so fun, important jobs you need to accomplish throughout the day, or else you feel like a complete bum. Humans' attention spans are so short that it is so easy to lose track of what you need to be doing. Next thing you know, hours have passed and you haven't gotten anything done, and you stare mindlessly at a blank Word document. Your mind is preoccupied with the vacation you're about to go on, or just how good a Starbucks coffee sounds right about now. It's an endless cycle, and the longer you take to acknowledge it, the longer it'll be around to put a potentially better future or outcome in danger. I mean, how are you supposed to achieve your goals if you're not really doing any achieving and instead scrolling through Instagram seeking false fulfillment? In this video, I will give you steps that I've implemented into my daily life that has maximized my output and productivity while avoiding burnout. But real quick, let's discuss the effects of procrastination. One of the biggest contributing factors to procrastination is this special thing in all of our brains called dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical released in the brain that gives a sense of pleasure or satisfaction when you accomplish a task. It's kind of like ironic, right? You'd think that we'd be more incentivized to work harder, being that we could be rewarded with dopamine after accomplishing all of our hard work, right? It's not that simple. Though you will be rewarded by accomplishing a legitimate task that makes a difference in your lifestyle, you actually get rewarded for accomplishing other things too. Things of less importance, less significance, or less value. For example, your college essay is due in a week. One of two things could happen. You could either A, partialize your time throughout the week and get the paper done utilizing time management, discipline, and the tools around you, as well as up here, and get your paper completed on time, thoroughly, and you have no anxiety or stress as a result of your habits and productivity. Then there's option B. Your friends are all planning on hanging out tonight at a new bar that opened. You say to yourself, I got all week. I'm going to go out and enjoy myself tonight. That decision does not result in guilt. It results in more dopamine. You have just justified in your mind that what you did is not only okay, but for the best. You feel accomplished for literally doing nothing. The next day you had one too many, slept in, and you're just not feeling it today, so you don't start the paper. And another day goes by, still feeling all justified. Days keep passing and time is stretching thinner and thinner. And before you know it, it's 5 o'clock, and the paper's due the next morning. Lo and behold, you haven't even given it so much as a title. Like everything else, the more you let procrastination have its way with you, the easier it is to stray off the course down the line. It becomes subconsciously habitual. And let's be honest, doing nothing instead of something feels pretty freaking good. See, we procrastinate as a result of us thinking to ourselves, okay, this needs to get done today. I need to do this and this and this. But as the day goes on, you don't feel the initial motivation you had because it isn't fresh in your head and you are surrounded in literally hundreds of other more appealing tasks, productive or not, that would still allow you to get that pleasure kick we also desperately crave. The reward is achievable, seemingly regardless of what path you choose to walk that day. So a lot of times we just pick whatever's easier. The worst part is, we can usually distinguish if what we're doing isn't the best decision, but that present awareness of knowing that isn't the best thing to be doing gets drowned out by our excuses, seemingly forcing us to do the wrong thing. In a way, procrastination could be looked at as an addiction to pleasure. The work is boring, so we seek fun. Here are a few things I have personally incorporated in my routine that allows me to be as productive and as efficient as possible. Number 1, acknowledge and evaluate your stagnation. I like to look at this as a sort of wake-up call. You have dreams, ambitions, all these things you want to accomplish, or maybe you just really want to get that paper done. This step doesn't require any physical action, but more so just thinking back to when you first had the realization your goal or task you wish to achieve, and then fast forward to now. How much closer are you? Sucks, doesn't it? Everyone desires forward progress but remains paralyzed in complacency without even realizing it. It's almost as if we need some imaginary match lit under our butts and brains to get ourselves moving, long after we become aware of the goal. And now that you're aware and awake, at least at this very moment, you keyed in on what must be done. Step 2, follow resistance. Something I began to take notice of, which actually came to me a long while back while procrastinating on YouTube, ironically. is that when you lay all the tasks in front of you that need to be accomplished, the one that appears more initially daunting tends to yield the most significant payout or reward. I like to think of Newton's third law of motion. Every reaction is met with an equal or opposite reaction. Let's get back to the rhetorical college essay we discussed earlier. Now you can focus on completing the paper, or you can do your laundry. Both of these things are considered to be priorities in your head for various reasons, but it now becomes a determination of what task is most pressing at the moment. Let's weigh out each option. The paper needs to get done, or else you'll flunk the class. Seems like a relatively pressing issue, right? Now, if you don't do the laundry doesn't get done. It's not as detrimental. Both need to get done, but one requires more work and attention, while the other is relatively mindless and can honestly be utilized as a distraction from said paper to justify procrastinating. This is where you identify the resistance and utilize it to point you in the right direction. If it's tougher to do, and more is at stake, it's probably the right thing to do. Step 3 is to reward yourself. Okay, at this point we identify what needs to be done, but now we need some motivation, some incentive, right? Okay, this yields the highest reward, but it's just so much work and it's lazy, and I've been there. I know what it feels like to be lazy and not want to do it. Trust me, I've been there far too many times, which is why I'm here today. I've tried putting my head down and cranking things out. In some cases, that works, but it's no long-term solution. If you wake up and bury yourself in something that possesses the label of work until your head hits the pillow that night, you're not going to get very far. And your work, though excelling in quantity, will suffer with quality. You need to reward yourself for your efforts. This step will require a little bit of discipline, but if done right, will maximize your efforts without you feeling burnt out after any extended period of time. After each session of dedicated work, you must reward yourself. This could come in the form of hanging out with friends, watching some TV, going outside. My personal favorite thing to do is ride my bike. I love putting in headphones and listening to Jordan Peterson lectures while I bike. That's just my thing right now, and it could easily be something completely different next week. But the point is, I have worked hard, I've put the steps in the right direction, and I earned something from it. This is what I meant by needing self-discipline. It's very easy to just say screw it to whatever it is you need to do and then go ride your bike anyways. But if you teach yourself to practice earning these things, you can really use that dopamine kick to your advantage. Which brings us to step 4, budget your time. Like I mentioned in the last step, long-term quality and consistency cannot be achieved just by forcing all the work at once to get it over with. You will simply burn out. We must break our time up into segmented parts that are relatively brief and always rewarded. This next one I discovered from a YouTuber that goes by the name Better Ideas. You should check him out, he's very informative. But he introduced me to an app called Forest. No, I'm not sponsored obviously, just look at my whopping subscriber count. It's essentially an app that rewards you for managing your time by turning it into a game of sorts. You create an account and you are presented with a timer that ranges from 10 minutes up to 120. The more time set aside, the larger the tree. That is the time you dedicate strictly to your work. You have the option to enable deep focus mode, which means you leave the app, your progress will be lost, and your tree will die. This encourages you not to check your phone at all, even if it's sitting directly next to you, alleviating the ability to go on social media. The goal is to use your consistent progress to grow and essentially develop a forest. I typically work for about an hour, break for 20 minutes, and repeat that cycle until my work is completed. Step 6, fix your environment. Coordinate it with your personality. Your workstation needs to be ideal, and in order to do that, it needs to coordinate with your personality. You are the most effective when your environment lines up with what makes you, let's say, zen. The right environment equals the right headspace. For some, this means bringing your laptop to Starbucks. For others, this means the park. If you're like me and you love writing and creating, these are some great examples. I like to write and film in my room here. It has a nice view of the outside, helps clear my head. It really boils down to what puts you in the most productive space psychologically. Little things like that matter way more than you might think. Truth is, if I were at my kitchen table right now, I wouldn't be able to focus nearly as well. It'd probably take me twice as long. And finally, the last step is to just gauge these previous steps and coordinate them to your liking. These steps are not set in stone, and everyone works better in their own way. This can be utilized as a sort of template or foundation for people who struggle to budget their time and accomplish tasks that might not get done. You can change the environment to your liking, the amount of time dedicated to each session, how you choose to reward yourself, or maybe you have an app that's better than Forest, I don't know. Implement what you think works best for you and start taking charge of your life, because we only have so much of it. And personally, the worst feeling is looking back years from now and seeing that you're in the same spot. It's a really tough pill to swallow, but at the same time, it's genuinely eye-opening. That's it for me today. If you guys like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Drop a like if you found what I had to say informative, and hit the bell because this is the first of what I hope to be many videos to help improve yourself and the world around you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.